in front of a stunned Washington ballroom packed with cameras and power players. Donald Trump smirked and viciously mocked Michelle Obama's grace as nothing more than cheap talk from a book-writing first lady, only for Barack Obama to rise slowly, turn the mirror straight back on him, and drop a bombshell that exposed Trump's own uncomfortable words about his daughter Ivanka, leaving the entire room gasping in shocked silence. The grand ballroom of the Washington Hilton was packed wall to wall on a cool Washington evening. It was the first time Barack Obama and Donald Trump had shared a stage since Trump returned to the White House. Cameras lined the walls, red lights blinking, ready to catch every second. Trump burst through the side entrance like he owned the place. He waved big, flashed that familiar grin, and clapped a few people on the back as he walked down the aisle. Not far away, Barack Obama sat quietly in his chair, legs crossed, hands resting in his lap. He gave a small nod here and there, but mostly just watched. The cameras zoomed in tight on the space between the two men. Empty chairs and heavy silence made it feel. Obama spoke first. He walked to the podium without rushing, adjusted the mic once, and looked out at the crowd with that steady gaze people remembered from his presidency. "Real leadership isn't about the spotlight," he said, voice calm and clear. "It's about service. It's about lifting people up when no one's watching, not putting on a show for the cameras." He kept it short. No long stories, no attacks, just straight talk about responsibility and respect. The room erupted in applause. Hands clapped hard. Some people even whistled. For a moment, it felt like the old days when Obama commanded the room without raising his voice. But the applause didn't last. As Obama sat back down, whispers broke out from Trump's side of the stage. A couple of aides leaned in close, muttering behind their hands. One shook his head with a smirk. The energy shifted fast. Then it was Trump's turn. He jumped up from his seat, buttoned his jacket with a quick tug, and marched to the podium like he was charging into battle. The crowd quieted. He started strong, listing wins from his time back in office. Jobs numbers, border numbers, big deals he claimed no one else could make. His voice boomed, hands chopping the air. People nodded along at first, but after a few minutes the tone changed. The compliments stopped. The jabs started. "You know, some folks love to talk about class and grace," Trump said, leaning forward with a half smile. "They had 8 years to show it. What did we get? Books, speeches. Meanwhile, the country was burning." He paused, then looked straight at the audience. "Take the former First Lady. She spent all that time writing books instead of fixing what was broken. Remember that tweet she sent back in 2016? When they go low, we go high." Cute words. Real cute. But talk is cheap when the problems are piling up. He let out a short, sharp laugh and smirked, eyes scanning the room like he was daring anyone to push back. The hall went dead quiet. A few gasps slipped out. Heads turned toward Obama. He sat perfectly still in his chair, face calm, eyes locked on Trump. But if you looked close, you could see his right hand tighten into a fist for just a second on his knee. Nothing big, just enough to show the words had landed. Trump kept rolling, voice getting louder. He bragged more about his own record, threw in a few more sideways digs, then wrapped it up with a big finish. "Some people's grace is just an act," he said, staring right at Obama now. "Real leaders deliver results, not pretty lines." His eyes stayed locked on his predecessor, challenging him, almost daring him to stand up right then and there. The applause that followed was mixed, loud from one side, polite and uneasy from the other. Trump walked back to his seat with his chin high, but the room buzzed with whispers. Then Barack Obama slowly rose from his chair. He didn't rush. He simply buttoned his suit jacket and walked to the podium with that same calm stride everyone remembered. The whispers died down fast. All eyes locked on him. Obama adjusted the microphone, looked out across the sea of faces, and started speaking in a low, steady voice that carried through the hall without needing to shout. "You know, there's something about family," he said. "When someone attacks your wife, your kids, the people you love most, it hits different. I've been in this game a long time. I learned early that real strength isn't about swinging back the second you get hit. It's about making sure the truth lands clean." He paused for a beat, letting his words settle. No anger in his tone, just quiet weight. The crowd leaned in, waiting to see if he would fire back hard or let it slide. Then Obama turned slightly toward Trump. "But when you bring my wife into this, Donald, let's talk about family values for a second." He nodded to the tech team off stage. A large screen behind them lit up. The clip started playing, clear, sharp, from 2016. It was Trump himself on the campaign trail, talking about his daughter Ivanka in that now-famous interview. The words echoed through the ballroom, the overly personal praise, the comments that had made people uncomfortable even back then. "Tell me, Donald," Obama said, voice still calm but cutting like a knife. "When you said those things about your own daughter, was that telling it like it is? Or something else?" The entire hall went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. No one coughed. No one shifted. Trump's face turned deep red, his usual smirk completely gone. His aides behind him looked panicked. One was already whispering urgently into a phone, another gesturing wildly for the screen to be cut off. The clip ended, and the silence stretched even longer. Faces across the room showed shock. Some Trump supporters stared at the floor, suddenly uneasy. Trump shot up from his seat before the moderator could step in. He stormed toward the podium area, grabbing a spare mic with a loud scrape. "You have no right to talk about my family," he boomed, voice rising with anger. "That's low, Barack. Really low. You leave my kids out of this." His neck was flushed, finger jabbing toward Obama. The room exploded with murmurs and gasps. Obama didn't raise his voice. He simply looked straight at Trump and replied evenly, "You brought mine into this first. You attacked my wife on this stage in front of everyone. Let's keep it fair." His words landed heavy. For a moment, Trump stood there, mouth open, searching for a comeback, but finding nothing fast enough. The tension crackled in the air. Loud murmuring swept through the crowd now. Not cheers, but shocked whispers. The moderator stepped forward quickly, her hands raised, trying to regain control. "Gentlemen, please," she said, voice shaky. "Let's bring this back to civil discussion. We have rules for this forum." She glanced nervously between Obama and Trump, waving for the tech crew to kill the screen. But it was too late. The crowd was already leaning forward, phones out, murmurs growing louder. Her words got swallowed by the rising noise. No one was listening. The tension had already broken loose. Then a man stood up from the middle of the audience. He was in his late 40s, wearing a simple dark suit. People recognized him. He had been a senior aide in the Obama White House. He didn't wait for permission. He raised his hand and spoke clearly into the handheld mic a staffer handed him. "I worked in the West Wing for years," he said, voice steady. "And I was in the Oval Office in 2017 when President Trump called Michelle Obama a classless gold digger who hit the jackpot." Those were his exact words. He laughed about it while talking to staff. It was worse than what he said tonight. The ballroom exploded with gasps. Heads snapped toward the man. Trump's face twisted in fury. He lunged forward and shouted, "Cut his mic! Right now! Shut that man up!" His aides jumped up, waving frantically at security. For a few chaotic seconds, people stood. Voices clashed and cameras flashed wildly. The moderator looked helpless as the short burst of disorder rippled through the room. Obama stayed completely calm at the podium. He raised one hand gently, and surprisingly, the noise started to settle. "Let the truth speak," he said in that low, measured voice. He nodded again to the tech team. A second clip appeared on the big screen. This one from Trump's old rallies and interviews, real public footage. In it, Trump mocked the families of his political opponents. Crude jokes about a senator's wife, nasty comments about another rival's children. The words were harsh and personal, exactly as they had been broadcast years ago. The video played for less than a minute, but it hit hard. When it ended, the room sat in stunned silence once more. Trump's usual confidence cracked right there on stage. His neck flushed deep red. He pointed straight at Obama, jabbing his finger angrily. "This is a setup," he yelled, voice booming through the hall. "Fake news. They planned this whole thing. These people are rigging it against me." His shout echoed off the walls. Some of his own supporters looked uncomfortable now, shifting in their seats, whispering to each other with uncertain faces. But Trump wasn't backing down. He charged forward again, snatching the microphone with a loud scrape that echoed through the ballroom. His face was flushed, eyes wide with anger. "Results! That's what this country needs," he bellowed, voice growing louder and sharper with every word. "I get results, big results. Jobs came back, borders got strong, America got strong again. All these other guys do is give speeches. Beautiful speeches, nice words, but no action. Speeches versus real wins. That's why you voted me back in. Not talk, not books, not fancy lines. Results." He paced the small space behind the podium, repeating the same points over and over, his volume rising each time. "Speeches don't fix anything. I fix things. They talk about hope and change. I deliver. Results versus speeches. That's the difference." Sweat glistened on his forehead under the bright lights. His hand chopped the air aggressively. The crowd shifted uncomfortably as his rant dragged on, the same phrases looping louder and faster like he was trying to drown out everything that came before. Obama sat quietly for a moment watching. Then he rose slowly for the second time that night. The noise in the room dropped instantly. Every head turned toward him. He walked to the podium with calm, deliberate steps, adjusted the mic, and spoke in that low, controlled voice that somehow carried more power than any shout. "You can insult me all night long," Obama began, his tone even but each word sharp as a blade. "You can attack my record, my choices, whatever you want. But when you drag my wife, a woman who raised 2 daughters in the White House while facing constant attacks, constant criticism, constant hate, into your circus, you cross a line that real men don't cross." He stopped for a long second, letting the silence press down on the entire ballroom. Then he looked Donald Trump dead in the eyes. And the American people deserve better than a man who can't even respect his own words about family values. The impact was immediate. A wave of murmurs swept through the audience. Some people nodded. Others looked stunned. Trump tried to laugh it off, forcing out a loud, awkward chuckle that sounded shaky and unnatural. "Oh, please," he said, his voice cracking just enough for the mics to catch it. "Now he's giving me lectures on family? This is the same guy who once said in private that some families in politics were just along for the ride. I've heard the stories. Don't act like you're some saint up there." But Obama didn't hesitate. He leaned forward slightly, calm as ever, and hit back with precision. "Let's be exact about that, Donald. I said those words on March 12, 2008 during a private strategy meeting in Chicago about campaign logistics. I was talking about political consultants who ride on family names without bringing new ideas. It was never about anyone's wife or children. You twisted my words, just like you twist everything when it doesn't suit your story." Trump froze completely. For several long, painful seconds he stood motionless on stage, mouth slightly open, no quick comeback ready. His usual fast-talking confidence vanished. The color drained from his face before rushing back redder than before. The entire hall seemed to hold its breath, cameras zooming in tight on his stunned expression. The chaos in the ballroom slowly settled as the moderator stepped in one last time. "Gentlemen, we need closing remarks," she said, her voice tired but firm. Trump saw his chance. He straightened his tie, forced a confident smile, and leaned into the microphone again. "We're winners here tonight," he declared, trying hard to sound strong. "America first. That's what I stand for. Winning for the people. Big wins on the economy, on security, on everything that matters. While others were writing books and giving speeches, I was actually fixing the country. America first means results first. The people chose me again because they know I deliver. They know I win." He kept pushing the same message, repeating winning and America first like a chant, hoping to pull the crowd back to his side. His voice grew louder, but the energy felt forced after everything that had happened. Some supporters clapped along, but many others sat quietly, still shaken by the earlier exchanges. Obama stood up for the final time. The room went quiet again as he approached the podium. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Every word came out clear and sharp, cutting straight through the tension. "You said my wife spent time writing books instead of fixing problems," Obama said, looking directly at Trump. "Let me remind you, those books inspired millions of young girls to dream bigger, to reach higher, to believe they could do anything. What have your words inspired lately, Donald? Fear? Division? Or just more insults?" He paused, letting the question hang heavy in the air. Then he delivered the final blow, eyes locked on Trump. "The more you attack, the more you reveal who you really are." The words hit like a hammer. Trump tried to jump in immediately, grabbing for the microphone. "Wait a minute, that's not—" But the sound cut off. The organizers had killed his mic. Trump's mouth kept moving for a second with no sound coming out. His face twisted in frustration. He slammed his hand down on the table with a loud smack, then turned to his aides, who quickly grabbed his arm and tried to pull him back to his seat. Right then, a female reporter in the front row stood up. She raised her voice loud and clear, cutting through the noise. "Respect the office, Mr. President," she shouted. The words echoed across the ballroom. Several people nodded, others clapped. It was a small moment, but it landed hard. Obama gave a small nod to the crowd, then stepped away from the podium. Thunderous applause erupted throughout the hall. It started strong and grew even louder as he walked off the stage. People stood up, clapping with real energy. The sound filled the entire room. Backstage, the atmosphere was electric and ugly. Trump stormed into the holding room, slamming the door behind him so hard it rattled the walls. "What the hell was that?" he shouted at his team. "Get that footage cut right now. Edit it out. I want every clip of that Obama response gone before it airs anywhere. This was a setup from the beginning." His face was beet red, veins bulging in his neck. Aides scrambled, nodding nervously, whispering into phones and laptops. One senior staffer tried to calm him down but got waved off angrily. Trump kept pacing, muttering about fake news and disloyal people, demanding they fix the narrative before the night was over. Meanwhile, just down the hall, Barack Obama walked out calmly. No fist pumps, no victory smiles. He shook hands with organizers, thanked the moderator, and spoke quietly with a few reporters who approached him. "Appreciate the evening," he said simply, his voice steady as ever. He didn't linger or celebrate. He just moved through the crowd with the same composure he'd shown on stage, stopping to greet people without rushing, like the storm had never touched him. That night, the clips exploded across the internet. By midnight, the full exchange was everywhere. Obama's calm takedown, Trump's frozen moment, the female reporter's shout. Social media lit up like wildfire. Hashtag Obama Mirror and hashtag Respect the Office trended hard. Millions watched the videos on repeat. Some Trump supporters went quiet on their feeds. A few big accounts that usually defended him suddenly posted nothing or awkwardly tried to change the subject to policy. News channels replayed the highlights nonstop. Commentators called it one of the most memorable moments in recent political history. The country couldn't stop talking about it. The next morning, Obama sat quietly in his hotel room. His phone buzzed. He answered with a soft smile when he saw the name. "Hey, babe," he said warmly. "You okay?" Michelle's voice came through clear. "I'm fine. You didn't have to do all that." "I know," Obama replied gently, "but nobody gets to talk about you like that. Not on my watch. Love you." He listened to her laugh softly on the other end before hanging up. That short call said everything. Protection, respect, and deep love after all these years. Later that day, Obama stepped out briefly to address a small group of waiting press. He kept it short and powerful. This wasn't about winning a debate, he told them. It was about reminding everyone what dignity looks like under pressure. As evening fell, the two men left the venue area in completely different directions. Trump climbed into his motorcade, still visibly angry, barking orders into his phone, door slamming hard behind him. Obama walked out quietly toward a waiting car. He paused for a moment, looked up at the clear night sky, took a slow, deep breath, and gave a small nod to himself. Then he got in and drove off into the calm darkness. One man left boiling with rage, the other left steady, unshaken, staring at the stars. The storm had passed, but its echoes would linger for a long time.